Where does one begin in this process of stewardship? If we're talking about money, it really all begins with saving. You need to spend less than you make. It's very simple. It's living below your means. Charles Dickens has a famous quote about living below your means. Annual income, £20. Annual expenditure, 19.6. Result, happiness. Annual income, £20. Annual expenditure, £20, ought and 6. Result, misery. We simply must live below our means. Stewardship isn't really about frugality. It's about human flourishing. But if you're not frugal in certain matters, you certainly won't be able to flourish. While it is true that money can't buy happiness, it's also true that not having money can cause all kinds of problems. It's essential you're able to live below your means and set aside money for savings, as you will need to save for three things. You will need to save an emergency fund, you will need to save for short-term planned purchases, and such as a car and a vacation, and you need to save for long-term expenses, such as college costs for your children and possibly for retirement. How much should you save? Situations vary, but a general rule of thumb is that you should save a minimum of 10% of your income. You could do this in several ways. If you are disciplined, you could have a budget, which is recommended by most financial advisors, and I do recommend that as well. It's advisable to pay yourself first through some sort of automatic plan where money is taken out of your checking account each time you are paid. If you are unable or unwilling to make a budget, have the bank take that 10% out every month, and you really won't have to worry about it. If you have 10% of your money regularly taken out of your income and live on the rest, you will be surprised by how quickly your money grows. If you need assistance with developing a budget or other financial matters, consider something such as Financial Peace University by Dave Ramsey or one of the similar financial programs. Your savings need to consist of three parts. You need an emergency fund. Now, everybody needs an emergency fund. An emergency fund is not for planned expenses, it's for emergencies. And how much you need in an emergency fund depends a lot on your individual situation. If you're a young person living at home, you probably don't need much of an emergency fund. If you have a family with dependent children and you work on commission, then you need a much larger emergency fund. How much is enough? Most financial advisors recommend from 3 to 6 months' living expenses. This can vary based on your situation. Insurance is also important as well. You need to supplement your emergency fund with insurance. If you are independently wealthy, you might not need insurance. Since that doesn't fit most of us, however, we need to have adequate insurance. Insurance is simply a financial instrument that spreads risk. If your house burned down today, you might not have enough money to build a replacement house and to provide for your living expenses while your house is being rebuilt. Insurance simply allows you to pool risk with others. Your insurance premiums are used to pay for the houses of others who lose them in a catastrophe. The insurance company is able to use your money to invest in the meantime, but that's another story. You need an emergency fund, and you need to insure for those expenses that you cannot cover out of your emergency fund. You also need to save for short-term purchases. This is in addition to your emergency fund. Let's call short-term anything you might need in the next 5 years. A short-term savings fund is designed for things such as a car purchase or a vacation fund. Many people don't plan in advance for things such as a car purchase or a car repair, but cars wear out and need maintenance. If you own a home, then home purchases or home repair needs to be included here. The roof of your house, for example, probably needs to be replaced every 20 years or so. Air conditioners are another big-ticket item that might need to be serviced or replaced. You need to plan for these events. Ideally, you should have a budget where you set aside money each month for these longer-term needs. If you know a new roof costs $10,000, and you know it will need to be replaced in 5 years, you would simply divide the $10,000 by the number of months. In this case, 5 years is 60 months, so you would divide 10,000 by 60. The result is around $167 a month. You need to make certain that you set money aside, either by keeping this money in a separate account or through good bookkeeping.